In our last video, we drove up to central New Jersey to visit Grounds for Sculpture. This is an outdoor art gallery that features very quirky and unique statues that are life-sized or very often larger than life. It's a very whimsical, interactive art experience that is unlike anything that we have ever been to before. We had one more area that we wanted to visit over in the Meadow, and then we had plans to head into Princeton to get some ice cream. We're trying to get into the Meadow real quick because we only have a little less than 40 minutes, half hour. All right, quick.
So don't let the weight of the world slow you down. And if you search for the meaning of life, it won't be found. So take your insecurities and leave them all behind. Let's learn to make the most of our time.
Grounds for Sculpture has over 400 works of art that are situated in the gardens and along walkways. As we went across the street to the Meadow area, we found two works by Seward Johnson, which is one of the main artists featured here. This one is called Daydream, and then we walked over to what is perhaps my favorite sculpture, and this is called The Awakening. This 72-foot sculpture depicts a giant that is embedded in the earth and struggling to free himself. What I love about the sculpture is that you only see small parts of the giant's body. There's this implication that there's an entire figure hidden underneath the earth that is trying to break through the ground, and the emotion and the struggle that it shows is really amazing, especially as you get up close to see the hands.
Trying to get him out.
I'm gonna save him. Just pull. This sculpture called Crossing Paths shows how the artists really like to play with scale. Sometimes the sculptures were life-size, and sometimes the sculptures were many, many times larger than life-size. We started to make our way back to the visitor center so that we could see some of the indoor exhibits. Inside the visitor center, you will find a reproduction of a statue called Double Check. This was originally located near the Twin Towers on September 11th, and although many works of art in the area were destroyed, this statue remained intact, and it became a site of memorial. People left flowers and items to honor the first responders, so an updated version was created to permanently incorporate those items. During Johnson's long and prolific sculpting career, he became known for taking scenes of daily life and creating sculptures that captured moments and made those moments feel very special and real, as though you could push a pause button and walk through them. One of the exhibits in the visitor center shows a famous Van Gogh painting, and you can walk into the painting, but if you stand in the front, it gives you a very clear perspective.
That right there.
There. And then it gives you the perspective of like being in the painting. We definitely could have spent more time exploring Grounds for Sculpture, but they were getting ready to close, so we made our way to our next stop, and that was going into Princeton to try to find what was voted as the best ice cream in New Jersey. And I'm glad we made this extra detour because the drive into Princeton was very nice. There are some beautiful old houses going into Princeton, and when you get into downtown Princeton to the main campus, there are really old stone buildings that are very neat to look at. It's a great area. Once we found some parking, we started to walk toward the Bent Spoon, and luckily it is located in a downtown square right next to a park, so you can get your ice cream and then go sit in the park and enjoy it. It's a very nice area to walk around, and we decided that since there were so many nice restaurants in the area, we should probably have dinner there too, but we were doing it a little bit backwards. I hope that line up there isn't the ice cream place. Is it? Oh. Luckily, they had a good system for ordering, so the line moved pretty quickly, and we were able to get our ice cream and walk over to the park to enjoy it. Now, we ended up getting some pretty traditional flavors. I got hazelnut and Pat got vanilla, but from what we were told, they are actually well known for their unusual ice cream flavors, and especially for their vegan ice cream. But we enjoyed this. You can definitely tell that it is handmade and very creamy. It's a different texture than the typical ice cream that you would get. After we finished our ice cream, we spent some time walking around downtown Princeton. This was the first time that either of us had been in the area, so we really wanted to check it out, and we were going to look for somewhere to eat before we started the drive back home. Here's our first official cicada sighting. We found a spot to grab some food right in downtown Princeton that was directly across from this old cathedral. So we thought it was a perfect spot to get something to eat before we headed home, because we had to get back and check on Redford. What a fun surprise Princeton was. I've never been to Princeton, so I guess I really didn't know what to expect, and we drove in here to just get ice cream and then ended up walking around for a while because it is very neat, very walkable, all these very old buildings for Princeton University. It's really cool. Fun little surprise for the end of the day. So now we're heading home to get Redford. I think we'll have to come back at some point and maybe get like an Airbnb in the area and spend a little more time, because there's a lot to walk around and see. On our way home, we drove through the campus of Princeton a bit more. What a great place to go to school, and a very nice place to visit and walk around. We will definitely be back. We also found out there are a couple historic battlefields in the area, so maybe next time we're in the area we will go and check those out. Thanks for coming along with us on this trip to Grounds for Sculpture and Princeton. If you live anywhere near Grounds for Sculpture, we definitely recommend that you take a day and go check it out. It's just such a fun experience. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and a comment if you did, and we appreciate you being here. We will see you in the next one.
Well, you're worried about you and me, the injustice, the next president to be, the news and what you hear, your career. It's time for you to face those fears, and it's all fair to be aware, and I'll be there, so don't be scared. Just take a deep breath of air, and 1, 2, 3 to 10, you begin to focus again, and though time flies, we'll have enough to realize this bigger than the both of us.